At university, it wasn't until I implemented a system of powerful daily and weekly habits into my daily routine that my studying started to become a lot easier, to the point where I didn't even have to think about studying, I just did it. Similar to how I brush my teeth in the morning, I don't have to think about it, or I don't have to decide whether or not I will brush my teeth, I just do it. And so by implementing habits around the things that you maybe don't necessarily want to do, but you know you have to do, can significantly increase your productivity and just improve your life in general. Because now you're doing these difficult tasks that you don't want to do without even thinking about it. So here are 7 performance habits that I implement into my life at least once a week, and I think everyone should at least consider implementing these into your lives too. Plan the week. So this is something that I started doing only a few months ago, but in terms of how long it takes me to plan my week, like 15 minutes a week, it's maybe the most efficient 15 minutes I spend each week. And as Benjamin Franklin once said, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So planning the week helps me massively with prioritization. So I make sure that the most important tasks are prioritized first. So those tasks are things like this video, for example. One of my most important tasks for the week is to film at least 2 videos exactly like this one. But it also helps me prioritize my free time too. If I don't plan my week, then I end up just working and not being able to fit other things such as networking, socializing, health, going to the gym, that kind of thing. There are 4 pillars to living a good life, at least in my opinion. These are wealth, health, love, and happiness. So if you take care of health and wealth and love, then happiness will take care of itself. And so planning my week ensures that I spend enough time allocated for each pillar. Take yourself on a date. So this is slightly cheesy, but I really feel strongly about it. Whether you're single, in a relationship, married, you need to spend time for yourself, because one of the best ways of looking after yourself, especially if you're stressed from your studying or from your work, is to plan a date night alone. And there are multiple reasons why I'm recommending this. So firstly, it's important that you learn how to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself better. As some of you who have seen some of my previous videos, you know that I spent a lot of 2013 to 2015 backpacking around Southeast Asia. And I traveled alone most of the time, but it made me so much more independent and comfortable with just spending time with myself and not having to rely on other people. I could go to restaurants alone and not feel self-conscious going to the cinema alone. I do a lot of things alone, and I learned how to not rely on other people to make myself happy. I could be happy just being by myself. I could solve problems by myself. I could support myself financially, emotionally, physically. I didn't need to lean on anyone else. And I was, maybe for the first time in my life, finally comfortable in my own skin. Review your week's productivity. This is really important, and maybe the most important weekly habit that I have. So it's relatively easy to stay productive over a short period, say 1 week, 2 weeks, a month maybe. But it's much harder to keep a high level of productivity over a period of months or even years. And that's why it's important to keep track of your progress, so if you do start to slip up or you do start to become slightly less motivated, then you can catch it straight away and start working on fixing it before it becomes a bigger problem. And this happens to all of us. It's completely normal for our productivity to increase and decrease over a period of a year. But we're going to have productive weeks and unproductive weeks. So for example, last week was a relatively unproductive week for me in comparison to how productive I normally am. And the reason for that was because in Vietnam there has been another surge of COVID cases, and so last week the government closed all the gyms to try to contain the spread of the virus. And that messed up my routine a bit because I'm so used to waking up in the morning and going straight to the gym. Exercising keeps me productive, and without going to the gym, my productivity took a hit. But because I review my productivity at the end of every week, I caught my productivity dropping early on, and so I took actionable steps to stop it from getting too bad. And so now, instead of going to the gym in the morning, I do a bodyweight workout at home just to get some exercise into my daily routine. And that's one example from my life where reviewing my productivity each week has helped me stay on track. Social media detox. So about 3 weeks ago, I took my first ever social media detox. I've had so many people recommend me to come off social media for a week or so, and I've seen so many YouTube videos recommending it, and I've listened to so many podcasts explaining the benefits of a detox, but I'd never actually done one before, until about 3 weeks ago. And the main reason why I'd never done one was because for the businesses that I have, I kind of need to be on social media. I contact my team on social media, that's how we communicate a lot of the time. But anyway, a few weeks ago, I took 4 days completely off social media, and honestly, it was bliss. It was just so nice to feel reconnected with the real world again and not having to respond to messages dozens of times a day on my phone. It's kind of difficult to explain, but I just felt like I was living in the present, and I was more aware and present with the people physically around me. So it's something that I'm going to keep practicing a lot more in the future, at least a couple of times a month. Improve something in your life. So as you might have probably guessed from just the general videos I make on this channel, I'm a massive advocate of improving every day and just generally striving to become a better person in all areas of my life. And if we do actively implement a growth mindset, we'll be happier, we'll be healthier, we'll be better sons, better daughters, better parents, better siblings, better employees, and we'll just make the world just that tiny bit better. And there are a few things that I'm actively working on to improve myself, one of them being to learn Vietnamese. I've been in Vietnam now since January 2020, but I've been traveling back and forth since 2013, but I still can't speak conversational Vietnamese. So that's something that I'm working on every day. But obviously it's different for everyone. So for you it might be to make sure you're getting 8 hours of sleep a night. Maybe you need to increase the number of hours you're studying. Or maybe you need to decrease the number of hours you're studying. Maybe you're studying too much and neglecting other areas of your life. It doesn't have to be about making massive changes every day. Instead, it's about working on something that means a lot to you, that will have a big impact on your life, and just making incremental improvements consistently every single day. Meditate for 30 minutes. I started meditating back in 2018 when I was living in Amsterdam, but it's something that I wish I knew about while I was at university. It has helped me to keep calm in stressful situations and empowered me into realizing that I can control my mind, similar to weightlifting at the gym. The more you bring your mind to focus with meditation, the stronger your mind becomes. It's like realizing you have a super powerful mind and it just needs to be trained and guided to utilize its full potential. So I started with 10 minutes every morning and slowly worked up to 30 minutes every morning, because there are so many benefits to our mind and body, like stress and anxiety management, emotional well-being, improved focus, and it can also help you sleep better. Clarify your purpose. Why are you working so hard at what you do? What is your intention behind it? I think these are really important questions to ask on a weekly basis. So my purpose is to help as many of you guys as possible in terms of pulling you out of depression, becoming significantly more productive, living a healthier and more purposeful life, because I know what it's like to live an incredibly unfulfilling life and just generally being very unhappy. I talk about it in depth in the video I made a couple of months ago called How I Turned a 1.3 GPA into a 4.0 GPA. You can click on the pop-out banner to watch it, but I know how it feels to be super depressed. Depression is a really dark illness, and so that's why I'm working so hard to impact as many of you as possible. But at the same time, I'm a firm believer of looking after myself first. So in order to serve you guys, in order to impact as many of you as possible, I need to make sure that my own physical health is in check, that my own mental health is in check, that my own social life is in check, that my own happiness is in check, because then I can serve you far better. If I'm depressed myself, then the message that I'm communicating on this YouTube channel and the other platforms just won't be as effective, and my productivity would also take a hit. And as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 pillars to living a good life: health, wealth, love, and happiness. And sometimes it's really easy to become too focused on just one pillar and neglect the others. And for me, I love what I do. I love working. Maybe I love working a bit too much. So it's quite easy for me to spend too much time working and neglect things like socializing and networking and my fitness. So a weekly routine helps me clarify my purpose and make sure that I'm on the right track, and spending my 24 hours that I have each day as efficiently and as effective as possible. And if you are struggling to stay on track with sticking to your habits and monitoring them, there are various apps that you can use that make it a whole lot easier. I made a video on the 5 best productivity apps that I use in 2021 that help keep me on track and help keep me productive. And I also made a video on 7 daily habits of high performance students. It's one of the most successful videos on this channel. You can click on the video on the screen to watch those, and I'll see you over there.